Hi, I hope you're having a great day and week. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the latest project that I'm working on. We've got some amazing panels that I'm going to work on a kid's blanket. But what I'm thinking about actually doing with it is making a pillow blanket. It's a blanket that folds up into a pillow. I remember having one when I was younger. My mom had made us some of these, and I thought this would be really fun to do with these amazing panels. As you can see, I've got the edging on all of them. I decided to edge all of them, and I used different colors on every single panel. There's rhinoceros. This one, I left these panels together because these are going to be kind of the center, this focal point I decided. And I used a darker purple on this, and I used brighter colors and lighter colors on all the other one because I wanted to kind of frame this because um, I just loved how this purple pulled out all the colors in these panels. What I'm doing right now is I'm ironing them after the edging just to get them flat so that I don't have any problems. I see this corner is kind of pulling on me. So what I do, I would love to make a video to show you exactly the process of how I'm doing this. But that never seems to get made. Maybe next time when my friend Saffron's out, I'll pull some panels and show you what I do. But I can tell you because what I do is I actually sew it on my machine because there's a couple different techniques. The very first one I did, I got an awl. It's a leather awl. It's a punch basically, and I punched every single hole around, and then I went and crocheted with it. And I got used. Once I got into it, I got a kind of system of how to punch, crochet to get the crochet thread on, to give me a nice single crochet seam, and it also helps roll that edge, so you have a nice finished edge. And after each phase of this, up until I do iron, especially after the crochet thread, because it'll kind of scrunch the material, I don't for a better word, but it makes it, yeah, so it almost looks like it wants to pucker, but it's not because it can be ironed out. So I tend to make sure that is so they lay flat, so it's easier for me to crochet the edges and then work with them to put them together, especially when I'm laying out the design. But what I'm going to do is the patterns for how to make this blanket pillow, what would you call it, uh, a, a I don't even know what to call it. I probably imagine something will come to me, but I've seen people call them plankets or you know um, blillows, something like that. But it'll be it'll be really interesting because the patterns I've seen is you make the back first, and I've put together. I had this wonderful piece of minky, which is a polyester, and it's really soft. Um, Put it together and edged it, so I've got my dimensions for how big I need to make the top. Um, then also on the back, what they say is you make your pillow back first. You make your back first, get that pillow back on for where you're going to fold that blanket up into. Um, so I've got the dimensions for how. So now I know how big to make my top, so that I'm not going to have to going back and having to readjust, because I would like to just know how big I need to make that, which makes it pretty easy. A lot of these I make the top first and then go by the back, for how big, for how big it is. I guess I don't ever know exactly how big they're gonna be, uh, because I creating the patterns myself in my head. They're just getting created as I go. So then when I get the top done, then I go purchase the back, the minky or whatever I'm going to put on the back of it. And I tend to like to put minky on the back because it just adds some nice warmth and stability. These types of minky make it a little easier for quilting, because they won't poke through. They won't pull through. The threads won't pull through. Some of the minky I've used has longer threads on them, for the actual minky. so they'll pull through. And so I don't do a lot of heavy quilting on those, but I will do some. I have done some quilting, some heavier quilting on them. I did do the elk blanket that I did. I quilted that because I had batting, fleece batting on the back, and I quilted that before I put the back on, so it made it a little easier. And then I just went through and did some bar tacks to tack it down, and it was wonderful. It holds together, and it's a beautiful, beautiful blanket. So, this one, the last baby blanket I made, I used this a minky similar to this, and it it quilted up wonderfully. I didn't have any problems with it. It laid flat. It just looks wonderful. But these are going to be amazing fun, and I'm excited to see what this. I don't know what I would call it, but I'm excited to see it when it's done. My original idea was to make like a kid's sleeping bag, and then I got to thinking about how I was gonna do it and looking for like some different possible patterns of anybody doing quilting them, actually quilting them, and I decided that I ran across this pillow blanket again, just a random find for a pattern, and I thought, well, I'm gonna try that because I think it'll make wonderful, because then it makes a wonderful little kid's blanket, fold it up, and then they can fold it up into a pillow, and it'll fit nicely in a backpack, and it'll make a wonderful pillow for when dad's needs a nap too when he's watching. Hey moms, we need naps too. So. And I did interface these panels. It gives it a little bit more stability, especially when you're putting the edging on. It tends to try to hold its shape a little bit better than when I was first starting this. I wasn't interfacing them, and then I was getting a lot of problems with the stitches gathering a lot, and it was really hard to. I could get them ironed out, but when I go add extra layers and put it all together, and they would pinch and gather, and it just didn't hang right. So I decided that I needed a little bit more stability. So that's why I started adding the interface to the back. And they still are soft. They have a little bit of stiffness. I'm not using a heavy interface. I'm using a lighter weight interface, just enough so that it gives that stability, especially for when I'm putting the edging on. Because when I use my machine to sew my original edging, and it gives me a nice, the needle I'm using, it punches holes for me, and the stitch I'm using double punches those holes, so it makes sure it's punched. Sometimes I've had to go back, like if I use the heavier fleece batting to line them with, the iron-on fleece batting, I tend to have to go back with the owl and the leather awl and punch through those holes, which makes it easier. And you want to make sure when you're doing this, because these panels are 10.5 by 10.5. The previous baby blanket I do believe there were 8-inch panels, and so you want to make sure that you get even amount of stitches on all sides, because some panels you might have, they might be longer than wider, vice versa. So you want to make sure that your panels for sewing the crochet, especially if you're going to crochet them together, have the same amount of stitches on this side as you do on this side, so it'll just stitch right up. So the first rounds take the longest because you're having to count, and so sometimes I have to do some increases, decreases, because my original stitches, my original crochet threads, single crochets, don't even out. So I'll have a few more stitches here and there, but I just decrease them with the single crochet on the next round, and get so that I have the same amount on this panel as I do on this panel. My longer panel, which is this one, I still have 40 across the bottom and the top, but the sides I still ran 40 from here to here and here to here, and then just those extra stitches in here, so that if I sew like say this panel to this side here. Not sure if you can really see it. Let's see if I can bring my phone up. So these two panels together, I've got 40 stitches here to here, so that they will, it's still rolling a little bit, so that they will hold. Sorry about that. But it's a wonderful, fun technique, and they make just beautiful, fun, different blankets. So, okay, so the pillow blanket, Pillanket is what I'm going to call it, is finished. I've heard people call them quillows, billows, but I like Pillanket because it is a pillow blanket. This is a kid's toddler baby blanket, so it'll all through phases, and it's so neat because as the baby toddlers, they can leave them out, but mom, dad can wrap them up into this pillow, so it'll fold up really neat, nice, especially for travel, because it'll go nicely in a suitcase, or it'll go nicely in a backpack, so if they have an overnight. And they're pretty easy to unfold. I just grab the corners and flip it. Inside out it goes. And this is the back side. Nice colorful panels. And here is the front. These were some really amazing panels. Really fun to work with, some great colors. And I did around with solid colors around all the panels, and then I come back with these variegated yarns, and just makes the blanket just pop, the colors. Now to fold it up, it's not that difficult. So you want it the fun side facing you, because we're going to fold them in, and then you're just going to fold it into threes, and you'll see where the pillow, you're going to fold it up in to become a pillow, that opening, but along the edges, you'll fold it just right to those edges. So it's basically in thirds. And then again, you'll do a third, and then a third, and then another third. Okay. And to do this, I have to have both hands, but I just reach in and grab a corner and grab the other corner and flip. And there you have it. Now you had a blanket. Now you've got a pillow. So these are great for cars. You can, for the car seats, you can prop their head up, or for when mom and dad need a nap. It works too. But good luck getting it away from your kid, because I use minky on the back, and it is a very soft minky, so it's really touchy-feely, and I left a little texture on the front sides as well. So it's good for touchy-feely for kids, or for kids, for babies and toddlers. Well, kids love it too. So, but hopefully this will become your kid's new favorite Pillanket. This will be up on my Etsy shop at justlibit.etsy.com, JUSLILBIT.etsy.com. And thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening.